They thought fire would erase her. They chained her, surrounded her with flames, and crowned themselves victorious. But when the fire knelt instead of burning, the Alpha King realized he had awakened something the world was never meant to remember. The iron gates screamed as they opened. Heat rolled across the stone courtyard like a living thing. She tasted ash on her tongue before she saw the fire. It waited for her. A towering pyre rose at the center of the arena. Blackened wood stacked like ribs. Oil dripping slowly. The Alpha King sat above it all. His throne carved from obsidian and bone. His crown shimmered with runes that pulsed like veins. His eyes never blinked. The crowd roared. Their voices struck her ears like stones. She kept walking, bare feet on cold stone, chains heavy around her wrists. Each step sent pain up her legs. The smell hit next. Burned pitch. Old blood. Fear soaked into the ground from executions past. Her heartbeat thudded too loud in her chest. She felt it in her throat, in her teeth, in the space behind her eyes. The Alpha King raised one finger. Silence fell like a blade. "Throw her in," he said. His voice carried calm certainty, a voice that had ended kingdoms. Guards shoved her forward. The heat kissed her skin. Not gentle. Testing. Sweat broke across her back. Her breath came shallow. She remembered the prophecy then. The one whispered in the dark. The one she never believed. Fire does not eat what is born of flame. She laughed. It tore out of her raw and sharp. The crowd hissed. The Alpha King leaned forward. Mused. Displeased. They lifted her. Chains rattled. Her shadow stretched long across the pyre. The fire surged upward. Hungry. Bright enough to blind. She felt the heat invade her lungs. Her skin prickled. Her vision blurred. This was the moment. Then. They threw her into the flames. Sound vanished. Heat swallowed everything. She screamed. Or she thought she did. Fire wrapped around her body. Not pain. Pressure. Like hands closing. Her clothes burned away. The chains glowed red. Her hair lifted in the heat. The crowd waited for the smell of flesh. Never came. The flames slowed. They bent inward. They circled her. Her feet touched embers. Her breath steadied. Her skin did not blister. The fire whispered. Not words. Recognition. Her heart stopped racing. It began to pulse deeper. Stronger. Something answered inside her chest. A memory older than her name. The flames bowed. They lowered like kneeling soldiers. Gasps tore through the arena. The Alpha King stood. His throne cracked beneath him. Impossible, he said. His certainty fractured. She stepped forward. Fire clung to her like silk. Did not burn. Did not harm. Each step left glowing prints behind. The guards fell back. Some dropped to their knees. Others fled screaming. The Alpha King raised his hand. Runes flared along his arms. Power thundered through the air. The flames hesitated. They shuddered. She felt resistance for the first time. A cold edge pressed against her spine. The Alpha King smiled. Not amused now. Afraid. He spoke an ancient command. The fire screamed. Twisted. It fought itself. Pain bloomed in her skull. Her vision fractured into red and gold. She fell to one knee. Ash swirled around her face. The ground trembled. The Alpha King descended the steps. Each footfall heavy with dominance. He reached toward her. Fire recoiled from his hand. His shadow stretched across her body. He whispered her true name, the one she never shared. Her heart lurched. The flames flared violently. Stone cracked. The sky darkened. Something ancient shifted beneath the arena. She lifted her head. Her eyes reflected pure fire. The Alpha King froze. The flames surged upward again. Not wild, obedient, waiting. The flames waited. They trembled like animals held back by command. Heat thickened the air until breathing felt heavy. The Alpha King lowered his hand slowly. His fingers shook despite his control. The crowd pressed backward. Stones scraped under frantic feet. No one dared to scream. Silence tasted sharp and metallic. She rose to her feet. Ash slid from her skin like falling snow. Her heartbeat no longer raced. Echoed. Ancient. Every flame leaned toward her. The pyre collapsed inward. Wood crumbled to glowing dust. Fire spiraled upward in slow arcs. The Alpha King took another step back. His boots left cracks in the stone. He studied her like a broken weapon. His jaw tightened. "You were meant to die," he said. His voice fractured the quiet. She felt the words strike her chest. Not fear. Recognition. She opened her mouth. Fire breathed with her. The sound that came out was not human. It rolled low and vast. The arena walls vibrated. Torches along the perimeter flared white. The Alpha King raised both hands. Runes ignited across his skin. They crawled like living scars. Power surged outward. A wave of force slammed into her. She slid backward, heels carving lines through ash. The fire around her snapped. Some bowed lower. Others resisted. Pain tore through her spine. She tasted copper. Memories flooded in without mercy. Burning sky. Cities melting into light. A crown of flame placed upon a younger brow. A voice promising dominion. She screamed again. This time the sound split stone. The Alpha King staggered. Blood leaked from his nose. His crown flickered. The crowd scattered. Bodies collided. Armor clanged. Some collapsed where they stood. Fire reached out. Not to burn. Tut. Flames brushed her arms. Her legs. They wrapped gently. Steadying. She stood upright again. Her eyes locked onto the Alpha King. He saw it then. Not a prisoner. Not a sacrifice. Sovereign. He snarled. "Bow," he commanded. The runes flared brighter. The ground buckled. Fire recoiled violently. She dropped to one knee again. Pressure crushed her lungs. Her ribs screamed. The flames screamed with her. They fought his will. They strained against ancient laws. Her hands dug into the ash. The heat surged through her palms. Something cracked open inside her chest. Not pain. Release. A warmth deeper than fire. Deeper than memory. Her breathing slowed. The pressure eased. She stood. The Alpha King froze mid-incantation. The runes on his arms dimmed. Then shattered. Light burst outward. He screamed. Not in pain. In disbelief. The fire no longer hesitated. It rose in towering columns. It bent toward her like grass to wind. She lifted one hand. The flames followed. They twisted into a massive crown above her head. Not solid. Living. Breathing. The Alpha King dropped to one knee. Stone cracked beneath him. His power drained into the ground. He glared up at her. Hatred and awe tangled in his eyes. "You cannot rule," he spat. "You were sealed," he said. "You were forgotten." She stepped closer. Each step hummed with heat. Fire rolled outward in waves. The arena walls blackened. Iron gates melted. The sky above rippled like water. "I remember," she said. Her voice layered. Many voices speaking as one. The Alpha King tried to rise. His limbs trembled. Fire wrapped around his wrists. Not burning. Binding. He roared. The sound echoed uselessly. She looked down at him. Up close his power smelled old. Ill. Burrowed. The flames whispered again. Clearer now. Broken promises etched into heat. Her vision sharpened. She saw the chains that bound this world. Invisible lines of control. She saw where his throne fed on stolen fire. She saw the crack beneath the arena. Prison. A wound. Something ancient slept below. Something waiting. The Alpha King followed her gaze. Fear widened his eyes. No, he whispered. She turned away from him. Fire parted at her steps. She reached the center of the arena, where the pyre once stood. The ground pulsed beneath her feet. Heat surged upward. The crowd watched from shattered entrances. No one dared to flee farther. Curiosity chained them tighter than fear. She knelt, placed both palms on the stone. The flames gathered overhead. They poured downward. Into her. The world roared. Stone split open. A crack spidered outward. Light spilled from the depths. Not fire. Brighter. Colder. The Alpha King screamed again. This time in terror. The crack widened. Ancient symbols burned into view. Seals forged by forgotten hands. They began to break. One by one. The heat around her shifted. Sharper. Focused. She gasped. Pain lanced through her skull. Memories surged harder. A war of burning skies. A betrayal crowned in shadow. Her fall. Her ceiling. Her name erased. Her body cast into time. She cried out. The flames surged violently. The crack widened further. Pulse erupted. The Alpha King was thrown backward. He slammed into the broken remains of his throne. Obsidian shattered. Bone splintered. He coughed blood. He tried to crawl away. Fire blocked his path. The crowd screamed now. Some fell to their knees. Others pressed their faces to the stone. The sky above darkened completely. Clouds swirled in a burning spiral. Lightning arced. Not white. Gold. She rose slowly. The crack beneath her glowed brighter. A voice rose from below. Low. Immense. Spoke her name. True One. The sound vibrated through her bones. She staggered. Fire rushed to support her again. The Alpha King screamed for guards. No one answered. His power had fled. His authority had crumbled. He looked small now, wrapped in fear. She turned toward him once more. The flames followed like a tide. The voice beneath the ground grew louder. Impatient. Hungry. The crack widened another inch. Heat surged upward violently. The arena began to collapse. Columns cracked. Stone rained down. Fire caught falling debris. Suspended it midair. She raised her hand instinctively. The debris froze. Hovering. The crowd stared in horror. No. The Alpha King dragged himself across the stone. His crown slipped from his head. He clawed at the ground. Seal it, he begged. His voice broke. You do not know what wakes. He paused. The voice below pulsed. Her chest tightened. Fear brushed the edge of her resolve. Fire dimmed slightly. The Alpha King saw it. Hope flickered in his eyes. He reached out. She stepped closer instead. The flames brightened again. Her shadow stretched enormous across the broken arena. I know, she said. The words rang with certainty. The crack shuddered. A surge of light burst upward. She braced herself. Fire wrapped tighter. The voice below roared. The ground shook violently. The Alpha King screamed as fire dragged him back toward the center. Stone scraped his skin. He fought uselessly. She looked down at the widening crack. Light spilled like liquid sun. Heat clawed upward. The ancient presence strained against its prison. Fire pressed downward. Holding. Struggling. She inhaled slowly. The air burned. Her lungs filled with heat. Her veins glowed beneath her skin. The flames whispered instructions. Fragments of power aligning. She raised both hands. Fire obeyed. Bent. It formed sigils in the air. Not the Alpha King runes. Older. Sharper. The crack resisted. The voice below screamed her name again. Demanding. Promising. Threatening. The arena trembled harder. The sky split with golden lightning. The Alpha King sobbed now. His voice lost in the chaos. He focused. The fire steadied. The sigils burned brighter. Cracks slowed. Buzz. Heat surged violently around her heart. Pain flared. She staggered. Fire flared with her. The voice below laughed. A sound that scraped her bones. The flames flickered. She clenched her fists. Her nails bit into her palms. Blood sizzled instantly. She screamed again. Not in fear. In defiance. The flames surged back stronger. The sigils locked into place. The crack halted. The ground groaned. Stone fused back together slowly. Light dimmed. The voice below roared in rage. The arena fell into an uneasy stillness. Smoke drifted upward. Floated like black snow. The Alpha King lay unmoving. His chest rose shallowly. His crown lay cracked beside him. Fire hovered above her. Waiting again. Watching. The sky remained dark. Lightning crawled through the clouds. The flames whispered warnings. This was not finished. Not sealed forever. Only delayed. She lowered her hands slowly. Her body trembled. Exhaustion crept in. The fire dimmed but stayed close. The crowd remained frozen. Afraid to breathe. She turned toward the Alpha King. He stirred weakly. Fear filled his eyes again. The ground beneath him glowed faintly. The ancient presence pulsed below. Patient. She took a step forward. The flames followed. The sky rumbled once more. And deep beneath the arena, something shifted again. She felt it before she saw it. A tremor beneath the soles of her feet. Not violent. Measured. Like a giant turning in its sleep. The fire stiffened around her. Every flame pulled inward. Listening. The Alpha King groaned. He tried to lift his head. Ash stuck to his lips. His eyes followed her movement. He whispered her name again. Sounded smaller now. Stripped of command. She ignored him. Her focus sank downward. Through stone. Through layers of sealed history. The presence below shifted once more. Not striking. Testing. The ground pulsed. Heat surged into her legs. Her veins glowed brighter. Pain lanced upward. She clenched her jaw. Fire gathered tighter. The crowd remained silent. Too afraid to flee. Too afraid to look away. A crack reappeared beneath her feet. Hairline. Light seeped through. The flames hissed. Warning. Urgent. She raised one hand slowly. The fire followed. Sigils reformed instinctively. Sweat steamed off her skin. Her heart hammered again. Not panic. Rain. The presence below pressed upward. Pressure swelled in the air. Stone groaned. Columns leaned. The Alpha King laughed weakly. Broken sound. You cannot hold it forever, he said. His voice cracked. She turned her head sharply. Fire flared. His laughter died. The ground beneath him scorched. He whimpered. She stepped closer. Each step heavier than the last. The crack widened another breath. Light spilled out again. Brighter than before. The presence roared. The sound shook her teeth. The crowd screamed. Some collapsed. Others ran. Fire surged outward. A wall rose around the arena, trapping everyone inside. Protecting. Containing. She planted her feet. Heat tore through her muscles. Her vision blurred. Memories slammed into her mind. The betrayal replayed in vivid fragments. Council of flames. Crown stolen. Hands binding her power. Chains forged of oaths. Thrown into time. Buried in flesh. Used as a symbol. Sacrifice. She screamed again. Fire answered instantly. The sigils burned white-hot. Cracks slowed. The presence snarled. Angry now. Impatient. The Alpha King crawled backward, dragging useless legs. His hands burned where they touched the ground. "Listen to me," he begged. His voice shook. "It devours kings," he said. "It devours fire itself." He paused. The flames flickered. Just for a heartbeat. The presence surged. The crack widened sharply. Light exploded upward. She stumbled. Fire rushed to brace her. Her breath came ragged. The Alpha King laughed again. Hysterical. "You see," he said. "You hesitate." She lifted her head slowly. Her eyes burned brighter than the flames. "No," she said. "I remember." Fire roared. The sigils locked again. The crack resisted violently. Stone screamed. The arena shook harder. The presence pushed back. A massive force. Cold heat slammed into her chest. She gasped. Pain tore through her spine. Her knees buckled. Fire caught her before she fell. The flames held her upright. They whispered faster now. Fragments of forgotten laws. Bindings older than crowns. Older than kings. Her breathing steadied. She forced herself to stand. Blood trickled from her nose. It evaporated instantly. The presence roared again. The sound cracked the sky. Golden lightning struck the barrier of fire. Held. Barely. The crowd screamed. The Alpha King covered his head. He curled into himself. The ground beneath him glowed brighter. The presence focused on him now. Tug. The Alpha King screamed. Dragged inch by inch toward the crack. He clawed at the stone. His nails burned away. She turned sharply. Fire surged between them, blocking the pull. The presence howled. Anger shook the arena. She staggered again. Her chest felt hollow, drained. The fire dimmed slightly. Fear brushed her thoughts. The presence felt it. It surged harder. The crack widened violently. The Alpha King screamed louder. "Let it take me," he cried. "Seal it with my life." The flames hesitated. Conflicted. She stared at him. At the broken crown. At the blood smeared across his face. She felt the weight of choice settle heavy. The presence laughed. Sound like grinding stars. The ground buckled. She closed her eyes. Fire pressed close. She reached inward. Beyond pain. Beyond memory. Beyond flame. She found a core. Still heat. Pure. Unbroken. She opened her eyes. They blazed white. The flames reacted instantly. They surged upward. Stronger than before. The sigils reformed larger. Sharper. They carved into the air itself. The crack shuddered violently. The presence screamed. Not rage. Alarm. She lifted both hands. Fire obeyed. Poured downward. Into the crack. Light dimmed. Stone began to fuse again. The presence fought. Violently. The arena shook. Columns collapsed. Fire caught them mid-fall. Held them suspended. The Alpha King sobbed. His voice drowned in the roar. She screamed once more. Not defiance. Command. The sigils slammed into place. The crack shrank. Slowly. Pain ripped through her body. Her skin split with glowing lines. She screamed again. Fire wrapped tighter, holding her together. The presence roared one last time. The sound ripped through the sky, then faded. The crack sealed. Stone fused completely. Light vanished. Silence fell. The arena sagged. Smoke drifted. Ash fell thick. The fire wall lowered slowly. The sky remained dark. Lightning retreated. She dropped to one knee. Exhaustion crashed over her. The flames dimmed, but did not leave. They hovered protectively. The Alpha King lay motionless, barely breathing. His crown lay melted beside him. The crowd crept closer, fear etched on every face. She forced herself to stand. Her legs trembled. She took one step, then another, toward the Alpha King. Fire followed like a shadow. The ground beneath him pulsed faintly. The presence stirred below. Not gone. Waiting. She stopped beside him. Looked down. He opened one eye weakly. Fear filled it completely. "You cannot kill me," he whispered. "It will wake again." She stared at him silently. The flames hissed softly. She reached down, gripped his collar, lifted him with ease. The crowd gasped. His feet dangled. His power was gone, drained. She leaned closer. Her breath burned his face. "You already did," she said. The ground trembled faintly again. Reminder. The flames brightened, waiting for what she would do next. The flames waited. They hovered close to her skin, not touching, listening. The Alpha King trembled in her grip. His breath came shallow, uneven. The crowd held its breath as one. Even the wind seemed afraid to move. She released him suddenly. He collapsed onto the stone, puffing, clutching his chest. Fire recoiled from him. Repulsed. She straightened slowly. Pain rippled through her muscles. Every bone ached. Every breath burned. Yet something inside her stood unbroken, unyielding. The ground pulsed again. Persistent. The presence beneath the arena shifted. Not striking. Learning. She felt it press against the sealed stone. Testing the edges. Searching for weakness. The flames tightened around her legs. A warning. She closed her eyes briefly. Darkness bloomed behind her lids. Not empty. Crowded. Voices layered upon voices. Ancient. Familiar. They murmured truths she had buried. She inhaled deeply. Heat filled her lungs. Strength followed. Her eyes opened again. The Alpha King dragged himself backward, leaving a smear of blood and ash. His gaze flicked between her and the sealed ground. Terror stripped him of pride. "You feel it," he said hoarsely. "It will never sleep." She did not answer. She turned slowly, surveyed the arena. Broken stone, suspended debris, collapsed columns glowing faintly, fire holding destruction in place. The crowd watched from the edges, faces pale, eyes wide. Some whispered prayers. Others stared at her like a god made flesh. She raised one hand slightly. The fire responded, lowered the floating debris gently. Stone settled back into place. Cracks sealed. The arena stabilized. The ground beneath her feet cooled. Not cold. Balanced. The presence below stilled momentarily. Observing. She turned back to the Alpha King. He flinched. Her shadow stretched across him. Large. Crowned with flame. "You ruled through fear," she said. Her voice steady. "You fed the fire with lies." He shook his head weakly. "I protected them," he whispered. "They needed me." She crouched slowly. brought her gaze level with his. The flames bent closer, illuminating every crack in his face. "You bound what you did not understand," she said. "You called it control." The ground pulsed again. Stronger. A low hum rippled outward. The crowd gasped. Some fell to their knees. The Alpha King cried out. The stone beneath him glowed. He screamed as heat crawled up his spine. She stood abruptly. Fire surged between them, blocking the pull. The presence roared faintly. Frustrated, she pressed her palm to the air. The flames stabilized. Her arm trembled. Strain carved lines into her expression. The presence withdrew slightly. Not defeated. Calculating. Sweat streamed down her back. Evaporated instantly. Her heart pounded again. Heavy. Relentless. The crowd began to murmur. Fear giving way to awe. Whispers spread like sparks. She controls it. She commands fire. She stopped the end. She heard none of it. Her focus remained inward. On the seal. On the strain. On the truth unfolding slowly. The Alpha King crawled toward his shattered throne. Instinct drove him. Habit. Fire barred his path. It did not burn. It warned. He collapsed again, sobbing openly now. She watched him briefly, then turned away. The presence below surged again. Harder. The seal groaned. Her knees buckled slightly. Fire tightened instantly, supporting her weight. She gritted her teeth. Pain spiked behind her eyes. Her vision blurred. Memories slammed into her mind again. Not fragments now. Wholeness. Time before kings. Before crowns. Before fire was feared. She stood at the center of a living sun. Fire flowed through her freely. Unbound. Unrolled. The presence below was whole then. Not imprisoned. Not enraged. It was balance. And she was its keeper. The betrayal burned sharp. Hands she trusted. Voices she believed. The binding. The fall. Her scream echoing through ages. Her eyes snapped open. The arena swayed. Fire flared wildly. The crowd screamed. She staggered forward. Caught herself. The presence laughed softly beneath the stone. A sound that vibrated her bones. Recognition shimmered in the sound. She clenched her fists. Fire compressed. The laughter faded. The ground stilled. Now. She straightened slowly. Her body shook. Not weakness. Release. She lifted her gaze to the sky. Dark clouds churned above. Golden lightning flickered faintly. Waiting. The Alpha King groaned again. He pushed himself upright with trembling arms. He stared at her. Hope flickered weakly. "You were meant to replace me," he said. "You were sealed so I could reign." She turned sharply. Fire flared. The ground beneath him cracked. He screamed and fell back. "I was meant to guard balance," she said. "You twisted that purpose." The presence pulsed below. Slow beat. Like a heart. The crowd pressed closer unconsciously. On. Fear tangled with fascination. She stepped toward the center of the arena again. Her legs trembled. Fire stayed close. The sealed stone glowed faintly beneath her feet. She lowered herself to one knee. Placed one palm on the ground. The heat surged. Her arm glowed brighter. The presence stirred. Not violently. Curiously. She inhaled deeply. Focused. "I remember now," she whispered. The fire responded instantly. Softened. Balanced. The ground cooled slightly. The presence hummed. Conflicted. The Alpha King crawled toward her again. Desperation driving him. "You cannot keep it sealed alone," he said. "It will break you." She did not look at him. She felt the truth of his words anyway. The strain pressed heavily on her chest. Every heartbeat cost effort. Fire wrapped tighter around her torso, supporting, sharing the burden. The presence pulsed again. Stronger. The seal vibrated. The arena shook faintly. The crowd screamed anew. She rose slowly, her movements deliberate, controlled. She raised both hands. Fire surged upward, formed a vast ring above the arena. Not a barrier. Focus. The presence reacted instantly. Pressure spiked. Pain lanced through her skull. She cried out. Fire roared in response. The Alpha King screamed as heat surged around him. The crowd fell back. The sky split with lightning. The ring of fire tightened, condensed, focused inward. The seal glowed brighter. The presence pushed back hard. The ground buckled violently. She staggered. Her knees hit stone. Fire rushed to hold her. She gasped for breath. Her lungs burned. Her heart thundered. The presence laughed again. Closer now. Clearer. It spoke her name without sound. She screamed. Not fear. Rage. Fire exploded outward. The ring collapsed inward, slamming energy into the seal. Stone screamed. Light flared. The presence roared in pain. The arena shook violently. Columns shattered. Fire caught debris mid-fall, held it trembling. The Alpha King sobbed uncontrollably. He covered his ears. The sound tore at him. She forced herself upright. Blood streamed from her nose and ears. It burned away instantly. Her skin glowed with cracks of light. The flames pressed closer, holding her together. The presence weakened briefly. The seal stabilized. The ground stilled. The ring of fire dissipated slowly. The sky remained dark. Lightning retreated slightly. She sagged. Nearly fell. Fire held her upright again. The crowd stared in stunned silence. Some bowed instinctively. Others wept. The Alpha King lay curled on the ground, broken. Bent. She took a slow step forward. Then another. Toward the center. Toward the seal. The presence stirred faintly. Not attacking. Watching. Learning. She knelt once more. Placed both hands on the stone. Her breath shook. Her heart labored. Fire pooled around her palms. The seal responded. Often. Not weakening. Lining. The presence hummed. Sound of recognition. She felt something shift. Not a victory. Not defeat. An understanding forming. The ground cooled further. The arena exhaled. Fire dimmed slightly. The strain eased just enough for her to breathe. She leaned forward. Forehead nearly touching the stone. Her voice dropped to a whisper. I am awake now. The presence pulsed once. Low. Measured. Waiting. She stayed there for a long moment. Breathing. Listening. The fire no longer roared. It breathed with her. Low. Steady. The presence beneath the stone shifted again. Not in anger. Not in hunger. In recognition. The ground warmed gently beneath her palms. No longer straining to break free. No longer clawing upward. The seal did not glow brighter. Settled. Like a scar that had finally stopped bleeding. She rose to her feet. Every movement careful. Measured. The fire followed without command. Not a weapon now. A companion. The Alpha King lay where he had fallen. His chest rose and fell weakly. Powerless. Uncrowned. The fire did not touch him. It ignored him. That hurt him more than flame ever could. She looked at him once. Not with hatred. Not with mercy. With finality. You were never king, she said softly. You were a gate that forgot its purpose. The ground beneath him cooled completely. Whatever had once answered his call no longer listened. The crowd watched in silence. Fear loosened its grip, or remained. Some knelt. Others bowed their heads. She did not acknowledge them. Her gaze lifted instead, toward the darkened sky. The clouds thinned slowly. Golden lightning faded. Stars began to pierce the darkness. One by one, the fire dimmed with the sky. Not extinguished, balanced. She stepped to the center of the arena, where stone had once cracked, now smooth, whole. She placed one hand over her heart, felt the steady pulse within. Fire answered quietly. The presence below grew still, not asleep. Peace. She understood then. It had never needed chains. It needed a keeper who remembered why it existed. She turned toward the gates. They stood melted and open, the path beyond glowing faintly. As she walked, the fire parted. The ground cooled behind her steps. Life would return to this place. Slowly, carefully. The arena would become a warning, and a promise. At the threshold she paused. Looked back once more. The Alpha King did not move. The crowd did not speak. The fire bowed. Not in submission, in respect. She stepped forward, into the waiting world. And the flames followed her.